Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Market Down Podcast. My name is Nick Cummings, joined this week by James Asante, back once again to review the latest episode of AEW Dynamite. Obviously, this being, we're right here. Hello, Hardcore Casual. This being the go-home show for AEW's Double or Nothing pay-per-view, which will be this Sunday. So, obviously, a lot of the show revolved around that. A lot of promos this week. Very promo heavy, which we'll talk about in a bit. But let's get started with what was the first match of the night, which saw Orange Cassidy face off against Kyle Fletcher of Aussie Open and United Empire for the AEW International Championship match. And I already know that I started this off well because I call it the International Championship.
I'm so proud of you. Honestly,
Yeah.
You know what? We appreciate growth here on the internet. It doesn't matter about past mistakes. As long as you apologize, people forget about everything you've ever done. As long as you do better the next time, right?
And then somewhere somebody pulls up a "this you" and your entire life is ruined. Anyway, this is my first time seeing Fletcher in singles competition, and he looked good. I believe his partner's been hurt, James.
He just recently got hurt. It was like he and his partner were double champs. They had the IWGP Tag Team Championships, and they had the New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Championships, and they had to relinquish them this last week. It was really sad because this team has been on top of the world. So
Thanks for calling us extras, Jay. I don't host a show almost every. Anyway, Fletcher attacked early and often, using his strength to attempt to gain the upper hand on Orange Cassidy, as well as take advantage of Orange's injuries. Obviously, Orange has been just exhausted and banged up during this stretch with this title. He's been fantastic, but obviously, as Excalibur continuously says, he has been burning the candle at both ends. And this match even started with Fletcher hitting a running boot into the corner and then a brainbuster, looking like he might win very early. What's going on? You know it. But Orange was able to kick out. And then because of how tired and injured Orange is, we actually saw him throughout the match trying to win in ways he normally wouldn't, such as trying to take a count-out win at one point. And he actually almost got it, which was a little surprising, but we don't see count-out wins in AEW. So he didn't. Later in the match, Cassidy hit a Michinoku driver and went for the pin, but Fletcher was able to roll through and hit a tombstone pile driver in a very nice sequence. He was then able to maintain that hold, stand back up, and then hit a spinning tombstone. But Orange was able to kick out of that. Just like I said, a really nice.
Is that good?
It's not bad, but a really nice sequence from those two guys. Orange was then also able to kick out of an avalanche Michinoku driver, which I thought was very surprising. And then Fletcher went for his finisher, which they never really showed, but apparently it's some variation of a pile driver. Cassidy was able to reverse it using the ropes to propel himself into a DDT. He then got up and started to try to fire himself up in order to hit the Orange punch, but he took too long, and when he went for it, he walked right into a thrust kick from Fletcher. Fletcher then again goes for his pile driver for a finisher, but Cassidy again counters, this time into a pin where he's able to cross the legs and he's able to retain his AEW International Championship. James, and just as a side note before we get there, Aussie Open later was announced to be All Elite. So we will be seeing more of Fletcher and the full team of Aussie Open in the future when they're both healthy. But in the short term here, another good match from Orange. Like I said, we are starting to see the desperation in him now. Because he's so injured, because he's so tired, and keeping up this frenetic pace with the title, and it lends a lot of storyline heading into the Blackjack Battle Royal on Sunday.
Oh no, absolutely. I think first, we were joking just a second ago about growth and everything, but Orange Cassidy's character has grown so much, and this match showed it perfectly. Can you ever remember a match where Orange was hyping himself up the way he did right before he ripped off his elbow pad and goes for the Orange punch? Like, granted, he got kicked for it, but when has Orange ever showed this much emotion? When has he ever looked like he's cared this much?
Not since Pac.
Not since what?
Since Pac, maybe.
Yeah. And this is a guy who has learned to care, maybe accidentally. And I think that's just such a cool development for who this guy is, what he's been, who he could be. And Orange has... I don't think anybody expected Fletcher to win the title tonight. I'm still super happy we got the match in the first place because I knew it was going to be an athletic bout. I knew it was going to be one of Orange's better matches defending this championship, and it has been. Hey, producer boy.
What's going on?
Keep going.
Eating again.
I am. Sorry.
It didn't matter. Like, a week ago, this just happens, guys. And this is not the question, who is the glue? Not producer boy. We've known more often than not which defenses were safe and which defenses weren't. It hasn't marred the title reign, though. And this title match wasn't marred by the fact that nobody expected Kyle Fletcher to win it. Orange was the safe bet. He won. It was still an excellent humper of a match, apparently. I don't know what it means, but it sure.
I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that's an Aussie thing, and it's probably a good thing. So.
But very happy that Kyle Fletcher and his partner, I believe it's Mark Davis, have been made all elite. That was a signing that apparently WWE was interested in, but AEW grabbed them, and that's fantastic. A great team, deserves to be tag team champions when the team is whole again. Good on Tony Khan for paying for the surgery, despite not having signed them yet. And I'm going to be heartbroken if Orange loses the title this Sunday. I don't necessarily think he will. I don't think it's a lock that he will, but it could show just how much he's overworked himself. That he, not arrogant, but that top of the world feeling finally crashing down.
I mean, I do think that is the point. That is where they're headed for him to come off that way, but to lose to 20 people, maybe not. Or I guess it could be he makes it to the very end and he loses to like a dastardly heel or whatever.
I think he retains and then loses on next Wednesday. That would be my guess. Like,
I mean,
just some like it's just whatever he has left in the tank, he expends defeating these other 20 men on Sunday, and then he has another match on Wednesday, and it's against some big bad that we probably haven't seen in a while, and then they win the international title. I think that's how I would do it. You get a lot of heat on that person, whoever it is, and I think you make Cassidy look phenomenal. But I mean, he's not getting out of next week with this title. He's just
even if he does lose on Sunday, he still looks phenomenal. He has made this the workhorse championship of the company. We just saw that tweet, and it's true. He has been the most defending. He has had the best matches on a consistent basis. This is the mid-card title to go after in AEW. No offense to Wardlow, no offense to the TNT title. This is the belt that I'd rather go after. This is, at this point, with only 2 champions, this is the most prestigious mid-card title in AEW.
Well,
that's fair.
It said it could be Miro, but they tried that with TNT and it did nothing. Because
that's not true. Miro was one of the better TNT champions. It's not his fault that they fumbled the belt afterwards.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But afterwards, he disappeared, and that was the end of him. So I would hope that they wouldn't do that same thing again.
Oh yeah.
Well,
I mean,
you could also have him going into this new show in Collision with this title, and him being one of the top guys there, and it being defended every week on Saturdays as well. That is more than an option, and I think personally a pretty good one, unless you want to put Wardlow on there because it is on TNT, and you could actually have the TNT title being defended on TNT. But
I'll tell you this:
they refuse to do that.
I'll tell you this: one of the promo images for the show has Orange Cassidy front and center, not Wardlow. I have a bad feeling he's going to lose the title on the first episode of Collision. Or maybe he wins it back on Collision. Maybe he loses it for a month and then gets it back at Collision. But I mean, they did the same thing with Ring of Honor. You got to stop chewing. It is super distracting.
I didn't know you could hear me. I'm so.
I'm sorry. It's not even the sound. It was wow. They did the same thing in Ring of Honor with Claudio and the Ring of Honor title. Like they had him lose it to just win it back pretty much at the first pay-per-view. And if they want to do it with the first Collision, maybe they do it that way.
Yeah, that's a good move. I mean, having title matches on the first Collision, and I'm sure we're going to get a couple of them. And then having somebody actually win a title on the show is always a good way to start a new show. So whether it's, I don't think they'd do the TNT Championship just because Wardlow just won it. But whether it's that or the international title, I think just where they are in those reigns, the latter does seem like the better option at this point. I could see that happening next Saturday or whenever the show starts. I don't remember if it's next Saturday or not. So.
I feel like we're being trolled by our comment section, and I am both appreciative.
Honestly, I was trying to be nice and not just boot him out for eating, but I'm
not even mad about the eating. I'm not even mad about the eating. It was just like his jaw strength was impressive. It was distracting.
It was not. Yeah, it was just.
And
no more eating on stream.
And I'm not going to agree to that rule because I like to snack too, but I do it casually, I mute myself, I maybe go to the side, but we're all humans here. It's okay. We all make mistakes. We all have stomachs. And where was Kenny is not a nickname. It's just a question. Where was Kenny? But regardless of that, great opening bout, great title defense for Orange Cassidy. And I'm very eager to see how this... I think the Battle Royal is probably the thing I am most curious about for Sunday.
Yeah, that one's definitely the most up in the air, especially because we only really know one other competitor in it, as far as I'm aware, which we'll talk about in a second. But before we did get to that, I did want to make one more note about this match, because I saw somebody on Reddit mention the fact that there was that little bit of static during this match. And now I initially thought it was an accident, but... is with the announcement of Collision, I guess we'll talk about more later, but with it being in Chicago, was this the first of the CM Punk hints?
I genuinely, that didn't even cross my mind. I legit just thought it was a production error because they're just
so did I.
I'm just so used to production errors on the show that I was like, all right, that makes sense. Things are just falling apart over there right now. So.
Yeah. And you are usually one to shit on their production, and sometimes you have good reason, and sometimes you don't. But
that was the
I initially thought this too.
Ironically,
yeah, no, I initially thought it was a production fuck up as well, but there's a chance, maybe.
Would we?
I just thought it was an interesting note.
It would get. I don't want to get into the whole Punk of it all, but if he comes back, he's got to come back as a heel, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And he'll come back as a face in Chicago, but then you could turn him pretty quickly.
If they do it correctly, I would hope, like, ideally he comes out, he shoots, like, this face promo in the very beginning of the show, and then by the end of the show he turns heel, like they did with when he turned on The Rock. Like, that was perfect. Or I don't even know if he came out as a face that day, but, well, yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was a face going into it. And then he hit The Rock in the match.
Yeah, it was like the perfect bookend to a show. And if I feel like that's the easy way to go. He comes out, gets the crowd hyped. Everyone's happy to see him back. He's friends with everybody again, or whatever the fuck. He apologizes, maybe, which would be great. In addition to him turning heel at the end of the night, if they're doing, that's why I don't really like the Samoa Joe thing, because then that idea won't happen. I would rather that idea happen than him just have a cool match with Samoa Joe.
No, I agree. But Joe is also one of those guys that you can turn face at any moment because of how popular he is generally.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be as impactful. Like if they could just straight up have him come out, apologize, and like screw over the elite at the end of the show, something like that.
Hardcore casual. No, CM Punk has not returned, but they announced tonight Collision's first. We might as well just talk about that now, right?
Yeah, sure. I mean, if we want to, it's quite frankly a very simple announcement. They had been keeping quiet the location of the first AEW Collision, and there was a chance it was going to be at Daly's place had they not worked things out with CM Punk. But they have announced it will be in the United Center in Chicago, and all signs are now pointing that CM Punk will be returning most likely at this first Collision. So that's why we're bringing Punk up in general, hardcore casual, just because it seems like that's what's gonna be happening here, James.
Hardcore casual. Are we Team Punk or Team Losers?
Team everybody shut the fuck up by now. Who cares? I'm so done with everybody's bullshit at this point. Like, just stop.
I think that's my alternative account.
I know. I was gonna say, are you sure you're not typing? You got the cat doing it for you. Impactful. Who is more impact than Samoa Joe? Maybe Jay Lethal. Maybe AJ Styles. I don't know. But yeah, they're gonna be in Chicago. Punk makes sense for Chicago. It's Rampage all over again. Look what happened to that show. But anyway,
yeah.
Next segment.
Yeah, I was gonna say not to spend too much time on that because we'll be talking about that for a while to come, and we actually talked about it last week on our podcast. If you want to go check that out, please do. But like James said, let's move on to the next segment, which saw us seeing a backstage interview with Ricky Starks. Renee asked him about the chair shot he gave to Jay White last week in order to get disqualified, and Ricky says that while many people know he's the hothead in AEW, he was in full control when he did that. He just was tired of getting who's more impact. Jeff Jarrett, good call.
You're right.
Yep. He was just very tired of getting jumped by White and Juice Robinson every week, so he tried to put an end to it. Ricky then announces he's going to be in the Blackjack Battle Royale when he gets jumped by the aforementioned White and Robinson. Robinson throws Ricky into an equipment case and then lays him across it, and White follows that up with a chair shot across the back. Saying that Bullet Club Gold is not done with him and is that they're actually just getting started. So quick little thing. But like I said, I think Ricky's the only other person announced for the Battle Royal at this moment. So a little interesting. I'm sure we'll find out more on Rampage, but let's be honest. We're not watching Rampage.
A Blackjack Battle Royal is going to have a Joker, right?
They didn't really explain the rules. The only thing I could see from it is just that there's 21 people.
So the way they typically did it in the past was they'd come out in suits. It'd come out Jack. They come out Ace. No, Jesus. Wow. I'm sorry, guys.
Spades,
I was just in Vegas. Spades, clubs, hearts, diamonds, and then a Joker is the 21st.
Right.
So maybe we're going to get a debut in the Battle Royal. Or
you could do it like that because then it's you have 4 groups of 5 and then the Joker at the end who gets the advantage.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see, and hopefully they announce some more people in the Battle Royal.
I found it.
I love a good surprise as well.
I found this. No, what? No, I don't have a list. Sorry, I'm not. I stopped producing. I don't have a list. I just found this segment weird since they've been building up some sort of a few. I mean, I guess it's all leading up to Forbidden Door, but I thought it was weird that they would do it before. I mean, I don't know. I guess they needed more. They thought they needed more time for this to lead up to Forbidden Door. And when is Forbidden Door? 3 weeks from now?
That's a good question.
Mid to end of June.
So I mean, that's just I don't know. I thought it was odd to lead up to Double or Nothing and then to not have them be feuding, unless I guess they'll just connect it in the Battle Royal with.
And who's this exactly? Jay and Ricky?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really know what that would have to do with Forbidden Door at this point.
Well, we're a little beyond that. If anything, I would think you would want that to be done by Forbidden Door so you could have White and Robinson face off against somebody in Bullet Club.
I mean, that's even more of a reason why this kind of made no sense to have them.
Or just have the full blown Bullet Club Civil War 2 at Forbidden Door, just because it just allows you to combine most, if not all, of the companies that have Bullet Club factions. The only one you really need is Impact. And if you can get those guys in there too, then you're in business.
I don't know if AEW Tony Khan can afford Impact, man. All right, I don't know that he's got that kind of money.
Well, maybe not. But let's move on. We then had a promo from Jungle Boy Jack Perry. He basically said that every time he makes the drive to and from Double or Nothing, he always leaves a little bit different. And this year, he expects the same, but this time he'll be AEW World Champion. Honestly, it was a short promo. It was fine. I don't really have anything to say about this, James. It was just kind of dull, for lack of a better phrase. He didn't really say anything.
At the very least, you could say Jungle Boy Jack Perry is pretty consistent. You know, I don't like to crap on him because I do like Jungle Jack. I think he's got a lot of potential, and I think he's sort of been pushed further than he should have been at this point. But it's fine. Nothing to cry about. Nothing to celebrate either. He's there, and personally, I think he's taking the pin on Sunday.
Yeah, which is actually that's interesting because we'll probably do that when we do our prediction shows.
Yeah.
But that's a good question. Who's going to take? I'm going to have to think about that before we record later.
No, I think James is right. If there's anybody that needs to take the L, it's him because Darby looks like the man coming out of this whole thing.
Yeah, he really did.
And MJF is MJF, and then Sammy getting pinned would be weird. Because nobody really cares. Well, I mean, nobody would care if MJF pinned Sammy. Or, yeah, I guess they could do that if they try to.
We'll get into that when we get into the segment later, but yeah. So, go ahead.
All right. After this, we had FDR come down for an in-ring promo where Cash that admits that they've actually known everything that Jeff Jarrett and the Slapnuts were going to do. But those guys are really smart, and they've been able to outsmart them and do it anyway. Dax then grabs Mike, excuse me, I'm the Mark, and says that Jarrett is smart because he's attached his name to the best tag team in professional wrestling, but they're not going to let some TNA rejects be at the top of the tag team division. So they better go to the Queen of the Mountain to make sure they have jobs afterwards. The Queen not being Jarrett's bitch wife, but Dixie Carter. Then Mark Briscoe comes out, and FTR tried to tell him to make sure that Jarrett and the Slapnuts don't get into his head. And Briscoe's not really concerned about that. He's more concerned about the pile driver that Dax accidentally gave him the other week. Obviously, Dax had been blinded from the liquor, and Dax says as much, and then he was just trying to apologize. One of the other assholes, I don't know what he said. They actually did a good censor for once in AEW, apologizes and tells Mark to be a man and shake his hand. Mark slaps the hand away, and Dax says that he's not going to embarrass him on national television, repeating his demand for Mark to be a man and shake his hand. Mark then decides to just slap Dax upside the head, and Dax gets really pissed off and tries to get in his face, but Cash holds him back. Briscoe then goes to leave, and we find Jeff Jarrett and the Slapnuts out on the ramp. So Briscoe going up the ramp pushes Karen Jarrett down, just absolutely slaps the shit out of Jeff Jarrett, and then goes up to Jay Lethal, grabs him by the face, and says that he's his boy, but he's tired of his bullshit. So, James, this was interesting. You're definitely starting to see Briscoe might end up looking like a neutral adjudicator leading up to his special guest referee role in this tag team match because he's just kind of pissed at everybody. But I also kind of feel like he's just going to hit everybody with a finisher at this point.
And I'd be A-okay with that. Personally, FTR, at least Dax, at least his character is starting to feel more like his real-life personality.
Or at least his podcast personality.
My God, he came across as such an asshole. I pile-drived you last week. Now shake my hand like a man. Well, fuck you, dude. The slap he gave you, you should be grateful that's all he gave you.
Yeah. Also, side note, man, this is a great movie that Bernie Mac gif is from. I love that movie.
Yeah. I know I sometimes come across as the boy who cried wolf when it comes to this. I'd be very okay with a double turn in this situation of FTR going heel and Jeff Jarrett and the Slapnuts turning face because, man, they're going to lose anyway. They're always going to lose. Let them be faces who put heels over. And they're they're starting to get appreciated because of how much work they've put in. Like, they're goofy as hell. Let them be goofy baby faces who lose, as opposed to goofy heels who lose.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. They're getting a lot of cheers for what happened at the deletion thing, I think.
Yeah.
A lot of people thought that was very funny and very good. So if
Wait,
there
the
are,
deletion.
yeah, what was some Hardy compound thing they did?
That was the Firm.
Oh, that was the Firm. You're right. I am so sorry. It shows how much I watch fucking Rampage, right?
You and the 12 other people.
Yeah, exactly. But you're right, though. They are starting to appreciate either way. They've been doing phenomenal heel work, and we have, been a part of that appreciation here on the show. So if they are starting to get cheered and you can kind of, do it organically, I don't hate that. It's just, you're going to really make me root for Jeff Jarrett in the year of our Lord 2023. Like, he's been doing a phenomenal job at getting booed because he's the one of the best at that ever. So just let him keep doing it. Now, if you turn Lethal face and he stays heel, I'd be a little more okay with that. But I don't know if I want Jeff Jarrett as a face right now. He's just doing so well. He draws heat so well, and it allows him to put over younger talent really well. So
also,
yes, I did mess up a Jobber faction. I'm sorry.
I think if you were going to turn FCR heel, the best way to do would have been to steal one from the Acclaimed from the get-go. If you were going to do that, I would be annoyed if they turned them heel now, because I would have been at least more okay with Acclaimed losing had FTR turned heel to win it from them.
I get that, but I also feel like it's fair to react to something after the fact. Like, they didn't put the titles on the Acclaimed right away when they got when they were getting cheered that night. And granted, you could argue that was the wrong move. They should have put the titles on them back then, but they reacted accordingly after the fact. And I don't think FTR are as beloved as they were a month ago or 2 months ago.
They unfortunately lost a lot of goodwill with the Access podcast. And it's a weird thing to say, but at least from the IWC, which I think makes up a lot of AEW's fan base, a lot of people were kind of annoyed at him and just truly wanted him to stop talking. So I think they did lose some goodwill there. And I don't think people have turned on them, but I think people are willing to boo them. And honestly, they've been heels the majority of their careers, at least as long as we've been seeing them. So it's not like they're going to have a problem getting booed.
I agree.
Right. Let's move on. We had a quick backstage interview with Sammy Guevara where Renee Paquette relayed the message from MJF that the money's still on the table if Sammy wants to lay down for him. Sammy basically tells MJF to shove it up his ass. Retells his story about basically becoming a wrestler and never giving up and da. And it's honestly, we kind of got a lot of the usual shtick from a lot of the guys in the four-way tonight. We kind of heard the same old shit from Jungle Boy. This is the same old shit from Sammy. And we'll get to it later, but we kind of heard the same old shit from fucking Darby too, and MJF a little bit as well. But at least it was more creative than usual.
I'm saving my comments for that segment till we get there, but I got to tell you, I disagree on the Darby part just a little bit.
Fair enough. All right, but before we get there, let's move on to what was only the second match of the night, which saw the House of Black face off against AR Fox, Blake Christian, and Metalik in a AEW Trio Championship match held under house rules. This week, the dealer's choice rule was 1 man in, 1 man out, no tags, which I thought was very interesting considering the makeup of the challengers, considering Fox and Metalik are high flyers. They tend to go outside the ring a lot. And then if one of them, does a tope, then the other one can slide in and keep fighting. So I thought that was a pretty interesting stipulation there. I also thought that the lights were much better this week as opposed to last week, especially up on the crowd.
It really worked.
Yeah. Now, you could kind of see it there. That pattern was awesome. I wonder if this was just because they have the better setup in Las Vegas as opposed to a lot of the other arenas they run, which tend to be, college arenas. And, the MGM is a really good arena where they hold, big time boxing title fights. But either way, it was really good. It was a lot brighter, so it was easier to see. And I agree with the Draymaker here. It kept the aura of the match. Not that this match really needed an aura, because pretty much it was just the House of Black dominating for the majority of the match. Everybody kind of got their spots in on the other team, but the only really decent run from anybody was AR Fox. But that pretty much ran its course, no pun intended, when he missed an insecurity on Buddy, who then hit him with a stomp and then locked him in Rhea Ripley's fucking submission. Thank you for pointing that out, James. I completely didn't realize that was hers. Fox made it to the ropes, but obviously under house rules, no rope breaks. So Buddy kept the submission on, and then Black and Brody were able to get their own submissions in as well. And pretty much everybody passed out and had to submit because, House of Black wins again. So this match was fine. James, I don't know. Like, I don't really have anything to say. It made the House of Black look really strong. It did. AR Fox always looks good, but honestly, none of these guys really had time to shine. So it's unfortunate, but whatever.
He was killing me today.
Let Eric just get it out of his system, and then I'll go.
Yep, go ahead.
He was killing. I forgot the list of complaints that I had, but I can't stop thinking about the slapping of the hands while he was doing the kicks.
Who, Fox or?
Yeah, it was just so blatant. Like, he was literally just going like this, like he was doing fucking gymnastics, and it was for everyone to see. It wasn't like I don't know who taught him that. I don't know if I've ever seen anyone do that, and if I have, then it was noticeable. It was just, I don't know. I'm not a fan of his. Obviously he's acrobatic and he's athletic and the whole nine, but I don't know. There's just something about him that I'm not a fan of.
I've become a huge fan of him over the last several months since I don't know if he debuted in Bridgeport when I was there, but it was definitely one of his earliest matches with AEW, and I enjoyed his run when he was tagging with Top Flight. But obviously, I think is one of them hurt again? Yeah,
Dante's hurt.
Yeah, Dante got hurt.
Him and the Top Flight guys, there's just like, I don't know. There's just something about those guys that I just don't like. I don't know what it is. Like, I mean, I can deal with
wrestling. We've established this.
I can deal with a Yuta. I can deal with Garcia, but
can you? Because every time we see him, we hear about it.
Oh no, I mean, I hate them, but in comparison, I would much rather watch those guys than Top Flight. There's no psychology behind anything that they do. It's not, none of it is believable. It's all just next move, which is fine sometimes, but
to a degree, I will give you that. I disagree about Top Flight because they've incorporated a lot of storytelling into their matches more recently than not. AR Fox, I'm not going to die on that hill with him. And I do think that there's sort of a reason that he's been separated from them, because the trio that we saw tonight of AR Fox, Blake Christian, Metalik, this isn't a first-time grouping. This isn't a random grouping. They are a trio in Ring of Honor, and that's sort of what my biggest complaint about this match is, and it's something that I've complained a lot about in the Gym Pack Zone. I am sick, and it happened a couple of times tonight. I am sick of Ring of Honor talent looking great in Ring of Honor to lose in AEW. Like, I understand. I'm not sure. Like, AEW is the superior brand. Nobody is denying that. Nobody is trying to say otherwise. But you're undervaluing and you're undermining your other brand by having them consistently win on this show to only lose on what is, quote, the main show. And I get it. Some of these talents, like Rev said, House of Black looked great tonight. They looked dominant, they looked powerful, and they did it against high-flying guys who tend to get the crowd going. That's all great. But the problem is it makes everything that happens on Thursdays feel like nothing. Beyond all that, I was happy to see them on TV at all. Yeah, I saw that slap. It is weird. It is weird. Objectively, it was weird.
Yeah, those are. Yeah, I'll agree. I thought you were saying he was like doing it on super kicks or something. Like, yeah, it's still really weird. I don't know what he's doing there, but I mean, look, I'm still a big AR Fox fan. Like,
I think he's great otherwise, but this was a weird bit that he did.
It's just, I don't know. It's just, it's weird. Like, I get it if you're just coming from like Hog and you haven't been on TV for a while, but now it's been like a year or two, and you're still like, you're not
I mean,
catch
it's
him
also the
on.
first time that I've seen him do something like this.
It's not even just that. I'm just saying in general, like, you know, I know there's like a learning curve to shit, but it's just like,
you
know.
know he's like 35 years old, right?
I'm saying
like he's a veteran too,
no.
like, which makes it all the weirder. But like,
I know
like,
he's a veteran in wrestling, but there's difference to like being on TV and having to worry about psychology. Like you can go to a hog show and we could have fun. I don't mind going. And if they don't give a fuck in the ring, I don't really care anyway. It's not like I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, look, he's not even selling, because we're at like an indie show. Who cares? We're having fun watching it, but like we're trying to take it somewhat seriously. It's the main event of the show, and
this was not the main event of the show.
It wasn't even close
or whatever.
to the main event of the show.
Whatever, but it's a title match or whatever it is. I don't know. And we're supposed to take it seriously, and I can't.
I get that, but I mean, if we really want to go through that, if we really want to follow that rabbit hole, I mean, you can make the same complaint that Rev alluded to whenever we see guys for the super kick, or, you know, like shit like that happens, and it's stuff that you can't even necessarily train out of indie guys, because it's not just indie guys. It's main event talent that do it in WWE and AEW and everywhere.
But I'm harping on that, but it's not just that. It's
you also just didn't like AR Fox from the moment he debuted.
Yeah.
So like, I get that.
You're just finding anything to criticize with him. I do agree with what it said, and that cycles back to what you said too, James. Yeah, it is disappointing when, you know, guys who look good in Ring of Honor come over, and especially guys in New Japan come over, because they should be treated as equals, in my opinion. Yeah. Like when they come in and they don't look great, especially, you know, guys I like AR Fox. I've been a big Metal League guy since, you know, the Cruiserweight Classic, and I feel like he's been getting the short end of the stick since then. So it really sucks when you see guys, especially guys who you not only like, but you know are really fucking good in the ring.
Yep.
You know, getting absolutely shortchanged in matches, like, you know, like this, and just looking terrible and having it end basically like that. It's disappointing. You know, they got all of, it felt like 8 minutes. Yeah, and this could have been a much better match. I don't know much about Blake Christian, but
I didn't either, and he's really impressed me in his time in Ring of Honor. He's definitely the younger guy of the trio, and I would like to see him break out on his own. This trio sort of formed very randomly, but they've been consistent since they've formed, and I wouldn't mind them just, you know, continuing to do their own single stuff on the side as well. And Christian is the main reason why I would want to see that. But I like all three of them. I wasn't crying that they didn't win the titles. They shouldn't have won the titles. I was just upset to see them in this situation either way. But overall, good squash match that made the House of Black look dominant. And that's what we need right now. We need them to look good. We need them to look strong as these titles are being reestablished under their rule.
Yeah, and look, I think I agree with you on that statement in terms of like it makes House of Black look good, and that's what they need at the moment. I just wish it was, you know, a talent that can actually, you know, get their asses kicked, and I won't care. I guess.
Yeah, but at the same time, we're not supposed to think of ROH as an equal show to AEW.
I mean, we are.
I don't think.
It's not like it's the minor
I don't think that's true at all. I don't think Tony wants us to think that ROH is equal to AEW.
I disagree entirely because
three of their champions didn't main event the show tonight. Sure.
Beyond even that, the only reason Ring of Honor isn't ever going to be treated as the equal to AEW is because they're not on TV. They are the show that Tony couldn't get a TV show for. And that's unfortunate.
I mean, if he really wanted to, he could just call it Collision and have all the ROH guys on it.
But they don't want that. He doesn't want, like, TNT Warner's doesn't want a Ring of Honor brand.
No, I understand. But if he really wanted that and he wanted to abide by what they want, he would just put the ROH guys on Collision, and the people at TNT would have no idea the difference.
No, but my point is, though, I get what you're saying, but you're also not taking into account it wouldn't be a Ring of Honor show. It would be an AEW show. So why have a Ring of Honor champion? Why have a pure champion or a tag champions or trios champions or women's champion. He's trying to have an ROH brand, and they didn't allow him to have that. You are seeing these Ring of Honor guys show up in AEW. Tonight wasn't the first night that it's happened. Willow Nightingale goes back and forth. She wins consistently in Ring of Honor. She loses consistently in AEW. One of the hottest women in Ring of Honor is Sky Blue. She wins consistently there. She loses in AEW consistently. So it's not like there is this grand separation. There have been a lot of crossovers. You are seeing Ring of Honor talent heavily featured in AEW and vice versa. But now, unfortunately, yes, they are inferior. We know that. But it's never been presented as the NXT of AEW. That's not what it was intended to be, but that's what it's become, and it's unfortunate.
But I'm saying, even if it had made it to TV,
I disagree. I disagree entirely.
We wouldn't be considering it like a Raw and SmackDown, because then that show would have its own champion, and then Wednesday would have its own champion.
Which was the whole point, which is why there is a Ring of Honor champion.
And then he would have a Saturday show. There's no way that was the intention, is what I'm saying.
No, but what I'm saying is I hear you, but you're wrong. They made Chris Jericho the champion of that brand because they wanted it to be an AEW equal. They were doing everything they could to make that brand as important as they could. It's just Warner's, whoever, didn't want to capitalize on that. And I'm not even saying that was a wrong choice. Ring of Honor does not have the same clout as AEW. It never did. It never will. You guys disagree a lot. Yes, we do. But it's all fun here. We're a couple of marks. Well, I guess a trio of marks. I call Metalik.
Yeah, I'll take Fox. All right, let's move on because we spent far too much time on that anyway.
The appropriate amount of time.
Yeah. So anyway, after this, we had a quick promo package for Anarchy in the arena, and then we cut to the Blackpool Combat Club, and Bryan Danielson lays out the plan for us. Claudio and Wheeler are going to win the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships tonight, and then they destroy the Elite on Sunday. Seems pretty straightforward. Moxley then talks about how they're the best in the world, and he doesn't say that lightly. Being at that level means that they need to come out and stand and deliver every night, and then on Sunday they're going to do just that, showing the difference between professionals and amateurs. Am I having fun? I always having fun, to borrow one of Danny's lines. Next up, we went back into the ring for another promo from MJF, and he started his entrance by going over to the announce desk, taking a cup of water, and throwing it at Tony Schiavone, and just an absolutely fantastic move. He then eventually goes down to the ring and starts his actual promo by insulting both his future opponents and the people of Las Vegas before starting to talk about the homegrown AEW wrestlers, saying that between the four of them, him and the other three men in the title match on Sunday, you won't find any more homegrown wrestlers in the entire company, which makes their match the most important match in AEW history. But unfortunately for us, Max is getting bored of AEW, the lack of competition, and the lackluster and incompetent management. So he might just leave. And Tony Khan knows his contract is coming up. So it's no coincidence that he is in a four-way match for the title on Sunday. But when he does win that match, he might just take his ball and go home because, well, yeah, he has a flight booked out of Las Vegas because Dynamite's not there. It's probably booked for, Sunday night. Anyway, he's not only earned that ball, MJF has, it's his ball, and he's been running with it faster than anyone. Darby Allin, then comes out and once again tells a story about him, getting to AEW and living in his car in Atlanta and all the stuff like that. And that's why it's such a great company because, he was able to help him figure his life out and lets him be him and do awesome things like skateboard with Tony Hawk and jump cars with Travis Pastrana or climb Mount Everest next year, which is something he always wanted to do and something that MJF had taken a pot shot at earlier in his promo. So Because of all that, Darby wants to become the new face of AEW, and in order to do so, he needs to take the title off of MJF, and he might even do it with a headlock takeover. MJF takes all of this in consideration and makes the big grandiose message of kicking Darby straight in the deck. Darby goes down. MJF starts lining him up to hit him with the Dynamite Diamond Ring. When Sammy Guevara's music hits, he comes running down for the save. MJF just hightails it out of there, runs up the ramp where he meets Jungle Boy, who takes him out and then is able to raise the title in front of the other two guys. Now, James, I made the comment earlier that I thought Darby's promo was a little, repetitive from what we've seen in recent weeks. And I think perhaps the beginning of it was, him once again telling the story about leaving Seattle and leaving his car and stuff like that. But the back half of what he said was different and cool. And I did like that. And, MJF, as he tends to do, he hit his notes tonight. But I think he did a really good job selling this match in general.
No, I completely agree. It was a little repetitive. That's fine. I'm not going to deny that. But there's something about Darby's development these last few weeks. His first promo when the four of them were in the ring together, I thought Darby was going to have a panic attack. That's how it felt. He was huffing and puffing. He did not look comfortable holding the microphone. And then tonight, it was a complete shift. He felt confident. He felt strong. He felt powerful. And I loved seeing that from him.
Because he had his stilts, that's why.
If I could live in a world where Seth Rollins wears what he wears, I can watch Darby Allin wear those shoes. It's not a big deal. But I thought Darby showed all the confidence someone in his position should have had all along, and I'm happy to see it. And he did something that I liked. It's not, I want to be champion. It's not, I want this and I want that. It's, I want to represent AEW. I want to showcase what this place is, and I can only do that with this belt. I thought that was, again, we talked a lot about growth tonight. That's a lot of growth for Darby. When he became TNT champion, it was about proving himself. It was about beating Cody. It was about trying to prove what a dominant champion he could be, despite how different he was. Now, him wanting to win the world title is about trying to pay it back to AEW and for all the support they've given him. I think that's a great character arc for him. And of the four guys, he's the guy I would want to win the most, even though I know he's not going to. But he's the guy I'll be cheering for on Sunday.
I do think he's earned, if they do some sort of like a special night in between Sunday and the next pay-per-view, he definitely deserves like a one-on-one.
Yeah, I agree.
MJF.
The only reason I wouldn't want it is because I wouldn't want to see him lose to MJF again.
Right. Yeah.
But no, I do agree with you. He had and I do got to say, even Sammy has proven it. The only person, in my opinion, who has not shined is Jungle Boy. Sammy did a great job with the goofy, slapsticky stuff that he was doing with MJF in the beginning. He's the only guy of the trio that could have done it with MJF. And he's been getting the support from the crowd, even though you can tell they don't want to. He's too charming not to, even though he's got that face.
Sammy does make a good baby face, man. I know we want to punch him in the face, and obviously his out of the ring things have unfortunately infiltrated his on-screen character, but he was a very good baby face, back in the back in the Inner Circle days. People fucking loved him. So he can do it. I think you're right. I think that Jungle Boy has come off a little worse for wear out of the other, out of the three guys who are challenging MJF here. And I don't know, I don't want to say hinting, but are we like going towards a Jungle Boy heel turn here just because he's looked so bad against these two other guys who, one being an actual face, the other one at least playing one on TV?
I think similar to what James was saying before, where they've kind of gone with the flow and just turn people when they need to be turned and vice versa, I feel like it's probably the move for Jungle Boy. I don't know how you do it, but if they're,
I don't know.
I think it's kind of necessary for him to, for the audience to not, they're going to turn on him anyway, I feel like. And then on the other hand, if he turns heel, he could probably learn a lot more on the mic and, whatnot. I think it gives him more of an opportunity to just get better if he's a heel, as opposed to forcing him as a face on everyone.
I completely agree. I don't necessarily see him like in our comments. I think it was it. I don't necessarily think Jungle Boy is going to help MJF retain, but I like I said, I think he's taking the pin, and I think that's going to set him spiraling.
Oh, that would be interesting if maybe they do that Darby match, that one-on-one with MJF in between the 2 pay-per-views, and Jungle Boy is the one that screws over Darby, so they can do their own feud and kind of practice off of each other.
I could see that. Afterwards, definitely.
Yeah, or maybe it just happens in the match where Jungle Boy screws Darby, and then it ends up being Sammy taking a pin. And then you end up with that feud with Darby and Jungle Boy, where MJF is able to retain just because those other 2 take each other out.
That's possible too, but I've never liked the trope of someone turning heel and then costing themselves the title. Like, I would rather hit you and walk away than win the title. I've never been a fan of that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But I mean, look, it's weird because I don't think they're forcing a face Jungle Boy onto us, Eric, because he's still over his shit. Like, he really is. People love him. They love the song, and
I think
it's fine. It's just I think he is getting stale at a certain point. He's kind of seemingly done everything he can, from what I can see, as a face, unless you want to give him a title face run. But
he's just too much of a white meat baby face. Like, against Christian, it kind of worked because I feel like Christian worked with him to be like, hey, this is what you should say against me here while we're, I mean, but also I guess MJ, I don't know.
But I think it's worked more often than not as him being a white meat babyface, because you see that growth when he and Christian and Luchasaurus were taking on Adam Cole and the Undisputed Elite guys. You see that he is a good person and he's not that bad guy. And it worked. It was good storytelling there. The problem is he doesn't have certain skills to back up being that character. To go over to WWE, Cody Rhodes is a white meat babyface. Right. He's got the mic skills to support that.
It might just be, I don't think Jungle Boy should be alone right now.
Yeah, no, that I agree with.
Which is kind of why I mentioned I don't like how they changed it. I know it's always been his name, because like JR would always try to throw it in there for eventually just like, but I think he's super young. I think they could have waited. Like, he could have just stretched out the Jungle Boy thing for a year or 2 more than he already has, and then eventually become the leather jacket, badass that they're trying to create.
What's the promise that's going on in our chat right now?
Hopefully, maybe that we promise that he'll turn heel, which I don't think I can promise. But I think the biggest problem with him is, he, ever since his split from Christian and Luchasaurus, and then his subsequent, defeat of them, his goal has been to get a singles title, and he's been unable to do so. And if he continues down that path of not being able to win a singles title, then perhaps that eventually is what leads him to turn heel. So I think that's how you do it personally. But, I don't know. We'll see where all that goes. And obviously we'll talk about it a lot more in our Double or Nothing prediction show. So be on the lookout for that. But let us move on here. We had a quick backstage promo from Wardlow and Arn Anderson. Obviously, Wardlow is facing Christian Cage in a ladder match for the TNT Championship on Sunday, and he basically just said he's going to shove the ladder up Christian's ass. After that, we had Taya Valkyrie against Lady Frost. Pretty much this entire match happened just so Taya can hit the Road to Valhalla with Jade watching. It was fine. The crowd didn't want really anything to do with it, which was unfortunate outside of like a few spots. James, you got anything for this?
Again, just kind of really sad. Last week on TV, I said Lady Frost had one of the best matches of the week that I had seen on Raw, SmackDown, AEW, Impact, Ring of Honor. She had one of the best matches in Ring of Honor against
Her highlights look great.
What?
Her highlights look great when they were showing the package.
Yeah, she's a fantastic talent. And I was super excited when I saw this match being announced. And again, this was Taya looking fantastic and Frost selling for her. And it's upsetting again as someone who watches Ring of Honor. Danny, why don't you join us? JL will be very happy. So yeah, it's disappointing to see that again be displayed here tonight. But good match, another good squash match where Taya looks good and she gets to look dominant going into her match with Jade, which I almost wish she didn't. Because I just want Taya to beat Jade. I am so done with Jade. It is so boring.
I'm not done with Jade, but I don't care anymore.
I'm done with this title reign. I'm done with this title reign. I like her.
Yeah, but that's the problem. It's so out of sight, out of mind, because I feel like 95% of what happens with her is on Rampage. And I say this every week. Admittedly, I don't watch Rampage. I really like Jade. I'm sure the title run's been – actually, you know what? I'm not even sure the title run's been good because every time I see her in highlights, she's just beating another scrub one after the other. And this is the biggest competition she's had to date, I think. Outside of – I don't remember if she fought Statlander or not. But, like, it's just so – I'm just – like I said, apathetic is the word. I don't care. I really don't. And it sucks. But – you know, if you're only going to stick the TBS title on a TNC show at 10 o'clock on a Friday, you're not going to make me care as much as you want me to. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry to all of them, but I just do not fucking care.
Why do I get the broom? You guys ever pair up like Producer Boy and Danny or James and a broom or Rev and Producer Boy? Well, Rev and Producer Boy are really tight, so they pair up a lot. I love Statlander, but Taya Valkyrie has to win the TBS at Double or Nothing. I need this Jade shit. Everyone has agreed. Statlander was not going to go after the TBS title. She was going after the world title. That's where the story was going.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from. I think that was just a bunch of people like speculating online and wanting it to happen. And
but I feel like it's grown its own legs to the point where
it has to be.
Might as well just fucking do it.
Yeah, you might honestly at this point you might as well do it because I don't know who's credible enough to take the title off of Jade that can actually like breathe some life back into it.
I mean, it's also when somebody does beat her, do they just rehash every feud that she had with the title with whoever won the title? And then it's like, okay, do we think of any of these guys as legitimate threats?
I mean, that's where, is it that Jade is bigger than the title or is the title bigger than Jade?
Well, that's right.
What you just asked. Go ahead.
No, that was just, I mentioned it before. Maybe she should just fucking toss the belt and go for the, like, she wins the main title at some point. Like, I'm assuming, that's why I was thinking that is the plan. She just wins the main title while she's holding that TBS title and then just gets
buries
rid of the TBS. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm just saying it's the only way out. I don't know. I don't know what the way out is.
She takes an L. That's the way out.
No, but I guess, yeah, if she takes the L and then I would imagine she would just automatically have to go for the main title.
Danny, just to go quick, both Athena and Jade have confirmed that the story was supposed to be Athena versus Jade and Statlander going for the world title. They even did that on TV where they talked about that was the plan on what they were going after.
Yeah, and then Stat obviously got injured. Would she blow her knee out, right?
Yeah, her other knee.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But yeah, I think we're all in agreement. Jade isn't the problem. Her booking is the problem. And
And,
I don't even care.
On what show she's booked is a problem as well.
Also true.
Yeah, exactly. It just creates, it's out of sight, out of mind, and it just creates a level of apathy that it makes it really hard to get excited for this match, even though we like both of these talents. So it is what it is. Let us move on. We had, after that, Tony Khan's announcement about Chicago, so we will skip over that and go to the backstage interview with one Hangman Adam Page, where Marvez asked Page where his friendship was at with both the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. Page pretty much said that he's fine with the Bucks. You know, they were always friends, maybe even best friends, but it was always different with Kenny. And it took everything that they went through to realize that him and Kenny aren't really friends, that they are family. Hangman, I only speak in facts. Hangman then turns his attention to Anarchy at the arena, or in the arena, saying that the BCC has taken his eye, Nick's shoulder, Matt's arm, and somehow Don from Kenny, and that price is too high. So on Sunday, the BCC will pay in blood. And oddly enough, this was the last we saw of Hangman tonight, despite the fact the entire main event revolving around the BCC.
Where's Kenny?
That was the weird question. Where is Kenny? No idea.
He's shooting a video game promo with a shirt off.
He looks swole. I don't even care.
Unnecessary.
Should have taken his pants off too.
Yeah.
Coda would have loved it. After that, we had the contract signing for the unsanctioned match on Sunday between Adam Cole and Chris Jericho, hosted by one Tony Schiavone, and everybody had agreed to no physicality. And surprisingly, that held up for the most part. But Cole signed the contract, and then he said he couldn't figure out why Jericho had him handcuffed and made him watch Britt just get absolutely beaten while Jericho was out there directing traffic. And then Cole realized it's because Jericho thinks that he's invincible and that AEW should be grateful to have him. Cole says that on Sunday, we're going to find out if Sunday night, we're going to find out if Jericho can walk after Cole breaks his legs, talk after he shatters his jaw, and right after he breaks his hand. So he better sign the contract soon, that little bitch. Before Jericho signs, Jericho replays the footage of Britt getting beat down, once again asking what kind of man allows that to happen to the love of his life, mere inches away from him, calling him a coward once again. Jericho knows that Cole can't beat him, especially because it is a 5-on-2 situation where Jericho has the entirety of the JAS backing him up, and then Cole only has Roderick Strong. Cole agrees with this statement. He needs some backup, so he called in a favor to somebody homicidal, suicidal, and genocidal, and motherfucking Sabu, ladies and gentlemen, is in AEW. Sabu comes down, Cole tosses him a chair, and Sabu promptly wings it right into the head of Daddy Magic, and the JAS just completely scatter. I host an opinion-based show and only give facts because I give the facts, and then I give the opinion-based facts because I'm always right. So speaking of being right, James, holy fuck, it's Sabu.
Dude, I said it in our private chat. You could have given me 100 guesses over 100 years. Sabu would not have been any one of them. I don't understand what the hell is happening. I am so glad he's there. It's Sabu. Taz sold it beautifully. Oh, no. Oh, my God. Oh, no.
Freaking out.
It's like, that's amazing. That's amazing. Like, he already feels scary, this old man. And it doesn't matter that he's this old man. All he has to do is what he did in the ring and throw that fucking chair in somebody's face, and it's going to be great. I'm very glad Sabu's getting his flowers because he never got that opportunity to shine in WWE. Mostly his fault. But I'm really glad that he's being represented here. Don't know why Adam Cole and Sabu. I don't know how you connect those dots. But here we are. It's great. And Jeremy Padawar already said, can't wait to make this toy. So I'm all for it. Give Sabu all the love. And I can't be the only person who thought that he was going to be bringing out either Kyle O'Reilly or, for the lulz, Bobby Fish.
That's That's who I thought he was going for, but I was like, "There's no way they're hyping this up for Bobby Fish right now."
Oh, I don't know, man.
I was like, "They're just gonna get trolled so hard." But I mean, maybe that would have been the point. It would have just went viral just because of how funny it was.
As the kids say mockingly, "Where is the lie?"
Oh yeah, if we heard of folks before even any music hit, like that place would have blew up. But I'm low key glad it's not fixed. O'Reilly, I assume, is still on the shelf, unfortunately.
Yeah, he's still recovering, but he's recovering well from what I've heard.
Good. So I'll take Sabu. Like, why the fuck not? It's hilarious. I saw somebody say, like, this is the best version of just a rich guy being a mark and just getting anybody he can. Because, like, Sabu is just so randomly hilarious. And it's an unsanctioned match, so it fits perfectly. And I don't expect him to jump off anything or go through anything.
Yeah, me neither.
Any of that shit. But no, I'm not saying. I'm all right. I'm going to say I don't need him to.
I'm going to be honest. If he doesn't take out his hip replacement and start beating the shit out of somebody with it, I'd be really surprised.
Jesus Christ.
But look, I don't need him to do any of those things. But if he does, I'm not going to be mad, and everyone's going to love it.
I don't know that he's capable of it. If he did, it would be friggin' awesome. But I'm just happy to see that he's there. Anything else is a cherry on top.
He's going to lay in some chair shots, and he's going to do something nuts like that you're not going to expect from a man of his age. And it'll be great, and it'll be a lot of fun. And hopefully Cole wins, and he can move on from Jericho and not get stuck in an 8-month feud. Oh, there you go.
Yep.
After this, we had a quick promo package from Jamie Hayter and Tony Storm about their championship match at Double or Nothing. Nothing too crazy. And then we went back to the ring where we had Roderick Strong face off against Daniel Garcia. As we were coming back, we actually saw the JAS carrying Daddy Magic out to the back as they were both banned from ringside, and Daddy Magic just took a Sabu chair to the face, which, as we all know, is extra powerful, leaving a confused Garcia to fend for himself. Honestly, I thought this match was a little disappointing.
I do too.
Like, I thought, somebody in our group chat said this looked like it could have been an old school Ring of Honor dream match.
Pro Wrestling Guerrilla.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, it was PWG. Thank you. But that point still stands. It looks like it could have been that. It wasn't. It didn't hit really well. The ending was Garcia got a Dragon Tamer. Strong, I think, was able to get to the ropes and escaped. He then quickly hit a Gut Buster and followed up with the End of Heartache for the win. But, I mean, this was weird. And I think part of it for me is, look, maybe it was just a lack of chemistry. But I think a lot of this and a lot of what I've been seeing from Garcia of late is just he's in a really interesting place with his character where he is a really good technical wrestler. But there are points in the match where he almost has to stop and do the stupid sports entertainment shit because he's in the JAS. And then obviously that leaves him open to comebacks and whatever. And that's why he's losing. And I get that as the character. But, like,
it's affecting the quality of his matches.
Exactly. Like, him just standing there and doing that stupid-ass dance in the middle of the match after hitting a big move when a guy like him would normally just jump on top of Strong just makes the match look dumb. And then, like you said, it affects the quality.
This is a match I was very much looking forward to, and it wasn't announced ahead of time, I don't think. I don't think we knew it was coming.
I think it was announced today. Because I saw the tweet on Reddit.
Is that Garcia's regular gear?
No, he usually wears like trunks, like tight, like underwear tights.
Well, he more recently has been wearing the pants because Sammy Guevara gifted to them. Gifted.
Oh, okay.
Because it was those black leather ones, and then I guess he got new white ones.
But
it seemed like that match was thrown in there last minute, like he wasn't expecting it because he was wearing what he was wearing. I was confused.
I think maybe from a storyline standpoint, that might have been why, that it was the result of the back and forth that happened during the contract signing.
No, it was definitely made earlier today. Tony Khan tweeted it out. It was definitely a match that was happening.
So yeah, a lot of people were looking forward to this match happening even before it was announced, and it's unfortunate that we got the match that we did. I do think it would benefit from being somewhere else. Like if they did have this match in Ring of Honor, I think it would get the time it deserves. I think it would get the quality that we know it's capable of being. But we didn't really hit that here tonight, which is fine because realistically, we're going to see it play back again later.
Yeah. Like, dude, that move was so cool, and then he went over and danced.
Yeah. Well, he's playing to the Twitter shit that went around.
No, for sure. We get it.
Kills the momentum of his matches every single time.
I get it, but also like I'm not saying I like it, but like the biggest gripe people have with this guy, for people that do have gripes with him, is that he doesn't really have any charisma or character. So just for the time being, I think it's okay. I get what you're saying, but also that was kind of funny to me. But
I don't mind the dancing. I actually like. I'm sort of in a middle ground between the two of you, where Nick doesn't want to see it at all, and you appreciate it. I get the importance of it. I get the value in it.
I do as well.
You also need to be good enough to do it without derailing your own match. And he's not there. He doesn't know how to do that yet. There are so many charismatic guys that do goofy shit in a match that it doesn't derail the match. Ricky will do the thing. What's his name? Penta will do the Zero Miedo thing. And it doesn't derail the match at all.
That's another argument, though, because not that it derails the match, but he does it every
too much. No, I agree. I
believe we hit 16 or 17 of them tonight.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, I agree, James. It's just, you're right. I get the character and what they're trying to do with him, because the wrestler versus sports entertainer thing for him is still there.
Yeah.
And I think at some point he will leave the JAS, like it was saying, because him doing the sports entertainer shit costs him matches. But he just doesn't do it well. He doesn't do the sports entertainer shit well, which is funny, kind of, or I guess ironic for his character. But could he do it without derailing his matches? Like you said, I wouldn't mind it as much. It's just the way he does it, the way he goes about it. And I guess, for a lack of a better phrase, his lack of skill at it, then it decreases the quality of his matches, at least for me.
No, I'm in agreement.
I wish he was better and he was funny, but he's just not at the moment.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, and Iron Lion in the chat saying, much more succinctly, it's only dumb because he has no charisma. Yeah, and he's working on it. I think he's better than he was, but he still lacks it. And I don't want to say in spades, but he definitely lacks it. Okay. Let us move on. We had a Willow Nightingale promo package. She faced off in the New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Women's Tournament and won, and she was very happy about that. And she actually defeated Mercedes Moné in the finals, which not only is great for her, I think that's awesome because I'm a big Willow fan. But I think that was the first time we've seen Mercedes on AEW television in any capacity. And I also think the fact that she won that gave Producer Boy a stroke. So,
I mean, it wasn't the plan. Willow wasn't supposed to win. Mercedes.
Do you think they really pulled an audible right then and there, though?
Yeah, that's the story that's going around, that Mercedes called it in the ring to let Willow get the win. Because... Well, did you hear about it at all, Rev, or no?
I actually did not. I somehow missed it. Was this over the weekend?
Yes, New Japan Pro Wrestling and New Japan Pro Wrestling Resurgence, an event held in California. They were doing a lot of the strong titles and a lot of the strong show stuff. And it was a tournament for the women's title. In the second match, it was Willow versus Mercedes, who had both qualified for the main event, and then Mercedes slips off the top rope and lands on the outside and presumably busted either her ankle or her knee. We don't have official word yet on what that was. Mercedes has confirmed that there is an injury and that she will return as soon as she can. But Willow winning reportedly was not the plan.
Okay. So the way you initially said that, I thought Mercedes just called an audible because of the crowd or something. She got her. Okay, that sucks. Yeah. I mean, again, I'm very happy for Willow that and she got this rub here, but that sucks for Mercedes because she's been doing great in New Japan.
And it's also noted that Mercedes finished the match. It's not like she got hurt and then she was like, roll me up or something. The match continued. She could have gone forward and won the title, won the match. This is for the inaugural title. This is the first time, I believe, that this title is being won by anybody. She could have won it and then relinquished the title, but Mercedes actually took the time to just do the audible and let Willow be the inaugural champion, which is huge.
That's cool.
That's huge.
Yeah, that's a really big deal. I mean, I obviously that's a bold move by Mercedes to do that.
I mean, she probably communicated with the refs, though.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure she got the okay to do that, but it was probably her call. Let her win it. Yeah,
she was probably like, I can get through this match, and even if I get through the next one, then, I'm screwed. But
I'm hearing she could. I mean, it's possible that she's only out for a month or a month and a half because it's a broken ankle. I mean, it could be worse, I guess, but from all the doctors on the wrestling doctors online, she should only be out like 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Maybe even in time for one of the pay-per-views.
I could see her winning it from Willow at Forbidden Door.
That'd be cool.
Might be a little too soon, though.
I mean, if it's a month, you said. Forbidden Door is the 25th of June.
Yeah, I guess it's true. I don't know.
She'd probably be pushing it. It depends on what happens. Sometimes broken ankles are weird. It depends, like, if she had to get screws or pins or something, like, that could make recovery time take longer. It depends. Honestly, it depends on if it is her ankle. It depends on how cleanly she fractured it, to be quite honest.
Definitely a fixable situation.
Yeah, sometimes they say, though, it's better to fracture it or break it than to roll it. So, obviously we all want her to have a speedy recovery. But I look, honestly, like, despite the circumstance, I'm very excited for Willow Nightingale.
Me too.
He won me over when I went to the taping of Rampage before Full Gear when I was in New Jersey last year. And she, not only did she win me over, she has the crowd over. Everybody fucking loves her. So I'm glad she won this, and hopefully she can ride this momentum. And if she does get a title defense at Forbidden Door, I think that would be fantastic for her and for the crowd too, because she's a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Let us move on to the main event of the evening, which saw the Lucha Brothers faced off against the BCC's Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta for the Lucha Brothers Ring of Honor Tag Team Championship match. Now, obviously, this match came about from, I think it was last week, when Claudio faced off against Ray. What in the hell is that noise?
That might have been me. That might have been me. It
was tripping me out. But
it's okay. It's not just producer boy. I'm unprofessional too sometimes.
Just couldn't figure out what the hell it was. Anyway, right. James, correct me. 2 weeks ago, Claudio defeated Ray Phoenix in a double Jeopardy match where the winner got to face the loser for their title or titles. Like I said, Claudio won, so we got this match. First note, Brian was on commentary, and he is starting to compliment Excalibur the way Regal did, although he's not as horny with it, but it's still a nice little note that he's saying hello to the man in the mask every time he goes to the announce desk. Pick this up later in the match when Castagnoli gets Ray Phoenix into the swing, and then Yuta hits the drop kick, but Ray is able to kick out. Claudio then goes to the Ricola bomb, but Ray counters with code red or whatever it was, and he was able to make the hot tag to Penta. Penta does his thing for a while, and then tags Ray back in, and Ray goes for the roll-through splash, but Claudio catches him in midair and is actually able to press him over his head. Penta then clicks Claudio, causing him to drop Ray onto Yuta, and then Penta goes off of Ray's back to hit a destroyer on Claudio. Ray hits a pile driver onto Yuta, and Yuta is able to kick out. Then a bit later, Claudio is able to counter a springboard from Ray with an uppercut, and then launches Yuta into a splash onto Ray, but Ray is able to kick out. This causes Alex Abrahente, who obviously was out to Lucha Brothers. Thank you, Jay. He jumps up onto the apron and distracts the referee, and Ray is able to hit a thrust kick and tag in Penta. Penta gets Wheeler up for the Fear Factor, and as Claudio attempts to get into the ring to break it up, the Young Bucks appear from underneath the ring and prevent him from getting back into the ring. Penta and Ray are able to then hit the Fear Factor and retain their titles. as the Young Bucks throw a super kick party to Claudio on the outside. Moxley then comes running in from backstage and Brian down from commentary, and the Bucks hightail it into the crowd. Moxley grabs the mic, telling the Young Bucks to go back to their rooms and call their families while they can still recognize them because they won't be able to after Sunday. And Moxley promises that anarchy in the arena will be the most violent match in the history of AEW. So, James, I guess we'll talk first about this match. I really liked it. I thought it was the match of the night.
I do too.
It was this or the opening match, but I thought this squeaked it out a bit. As what's his name put up the GIF earlier of Flippy shit. I love the Rooster Brothers. I always say I think Ray Phoenix is one of the best wrestlers in the world. So seeing him is always a treat for me. Seeing him against Claudio was great 2 weeks ago. So obviously getting it again is awesome as well. And just all around really good match here. I guess the one little thing that got screwed up was maybe the timing at the end with Claudio and the Bucks, because I think the Bucks had a little bit of trouble getting out of their underneath the ring in their not so young age. But other than that, great match. I not only have no complaints, I have nothing but praise.
Good match. Two good teams there. I'd say there was another moment or two of slight clunkiness, but nothing to take me out of the match. Overall, you have four really great talent in the ring, and I'm glad that the Lucha Bros retained because their reign has been nothing so far. Yeah, this is only their second defense, and the first one was against friggin' Powerhouse Hobbs and QT Marshall. So. No, I was even really disappointed.
It wasn't even on anything, right? Wasn't it on like Clash of the Champions or something?
No, I think it was on Battle of the Belts.
Battle of the Belts, yeah. Sorry, wrong alliterative title show, but
close though. But it's
that's the point.
But James, don't you kind of feel like this would have been better on ROH to have like AEW guys go over there and screw them then, and a different segment happening?
I mean, I agree. I would have loved to see the BCC come in and, if you have Moxley come over to Ring of Honor and help.
Especially if you want to promote that show, because then you could be like, oh, you never know if AEW guys are going to show up kind of thing.
I completely agree. But unfortunately, that's not how the model for Ring of Honor is going to work, because the only way you could watch Ring of Honor is by going to Honor Club, and that's $10 a month. Is one match enough for you to pay $10? Maybe. But,
I mean, I'm sure like social media would have spread that out. I'm not saying it would have sold it, but you get my point.
No, I do. And I see a lot of value in that. I do see a lot of value in that. But
I don't know if that's the situation here, though, because obviously this was a very good match, but realistically, this was more for setting up anarchy in the arena.
No, I know, but you could have still done that on ROH. You could have just did a different segment tonight.
Yeah, but do you really want to do your go-home segment, or not even your go-home segment, but you want to do that setup on Ring of Honor for your AEW pay-per-view? Like, I see the value of doing it in general. I don't see the value in doing it here, unless you have a different idea.
I'm just saying,
be the go-home segment of this show.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They could have come up with a better or a different segment for tonight and just done this whenever ROH is, tomorrow, Wednesday.
Yeah. It would be tomorrow.
It
would be tomorrow.
No, I have no problem with them doing this here. I actually quite liked it. I got a good match out of it, and the Bucks got involved. I guess the only downside, James, is to your bottom cry on there is where the fuck was Kenny Omega tonight?
Everything after the match felt very forced, and it felt like they needed to fill time because they got timing wrong somewhere. But
maybe he's on Rampage. I guess we haven't read up what it is.
What do you do? I don't know. Kenny or no Kenny, everything after the bell felt a little sloppy to me. And again, we kind of talked about it before we went on air. This definitely felt like a show. Last week's show felt like the show that should have led into a pay-per-view.
Yeah. And I did mention, again, I mentioned this before the show, and I'll mention it again. There are playoff games on, and the Lakers did get swept, so they would have been playing tonight had they not. And I would imagine that Tony was perhaps trying to make sure he didn't go up against, a Lakers Nuggets game 5. but we never got there. And now all he's doing is going up against Game 4 of the NHL, the Eastern Conference Finals in the NHL. So, a bit less of a, bit less of a split in the market, I guess, so to speak. But I could see why you would do that last week when you probably would have gotten more viewers than as opposed to this week. I know it's a bit of a gamble, and you kind of, fucking up your go home show a little bit, but say la vie.
Love
you. I don't understand where Kenny was and whatever. I guess that's the only disappointing thing because he's the only
no follow up with Don Callis. No follow up with Kenny. No follow up with Kenny and Hangman. That's really the big thing. That's what I wanted to see.
Yeah, like at least if they came out into the stands, behind the Bucks during Mox's promo, I thought that would have been enough just to see them all together. But also, to your point about Rampage, Eric, don't they usually do live Rampages before the pay-per-view since they're already in town?
I mean, if they do, I haven't been aware of it in months.
Yeah.
Well, they did it for Full Gear because I was there. So, I mean, they could be. I don't know.
Usually announce this week. And isn't it usually on like a Saturday?
No, it's not on Saturday. It still would be Friday. It's just.
No, I mean when they do the lives, though. I mean,
they're still usually on Fridays.
Oh, you're saying the pay-per-view?
No, I guess you're right. I was just thinking the Rampages that are live, don't they usually announce it, and isn't it usually on a Saturday or something like that?
I do think they announced it as being Rampages in Las Vegas, but I don't remember if they announced it was live. But I also know it's never on Saturday. It's always it's only on Saturdays when they have like a scheduling conflict. It's never in regards to the pay-per-view.
Yeah, it's always like a game, whether it's the NBA or the NCAA tournament or something. Then sometimes it gets bumped to Thursday, sometimes it gets bumped to Saturday, sometimes it gets bumped to Fridays at 11 o'clock. But I can't think of one that they've done live on Saturdays. And at least from my experience with Full Gear last year, Rampage was live on Friday, and then the pay-per-view was on Saturday. So, but again, they could be changing that. My point was, though, I don't know if we're going to be getting spoilers from Rampage tonight. Right. We might not be seeing anything until Friday. So, for all we know, we're going to get spoilers from Ring of Honor because maybe they're taping that after Dynamite. Because if they're going to do Rampage on Friday, then you can't do the Ring of Honor taping the next, the day after it comes out. But that is neither here nor there. All right, so just some overall thoughts on Dynamite before we get out of here. James, like I said at the top of the show, very promo heavy. I feel like that kind of tends to happen on AEW go home shows. I wish we got some, better matches or, maybe even some blow off matches of feuds that won't be making the card. But I think Tony Khan did a decent job of setting up the show on Sunday and selling it as well.
No, I agree. I joked earlier with you that it felt like Tony only officially booked the show last week. So now we got to get all the promo stuff out of the way this week for the show. Overall, it was a nice... It was a fine show. It was a fine show with necessary beats, even though they were probably beats that should have been hit a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of those pacing things when they do the builds to the pay-per-views. Like they try to squeeze in like so many matches, which I mean, I love the matches.
Yeah, me too.
Certain things just end up getting left by the wayside in certain weeks. And then Tony kind of has to sometimes scramble to make sure everything's set up for the pay-per-view over the weekend. So
it kind of what you guys are saying. It always seems like Tony doesn't know when the pay-per-view is, and then he just finds out about it, and then he's like, "Oh, maybe I should start planning things out." Yep. It's never let me do the biggest thing at the very end. He does the opposite of what WWE does. WWE announces it 4 weeks in advance. He announces matches a week before the show, which I don't know if I hate.
It should be in both. Like there are certain matches we knew watching the show. Of course, this is going to be on pay-per-view. So why take the time to delay it unless you're going to have a big surprise? Like last week, the stuff with the Elite and the BCC, sure, that's why you don't book that match until you do, because of the build to that story. But then there are others that it's like, well, you could have did this already. You know, you could have made this official a few weeks ago.
Right.
Yeah, but you can also, it's easy to make things obvious and know they're coming while still not officially announcing it. Like this Anarchy in the Arena match. We didn't know what type of match it was going to be, but we knew we were going to see the Elite versus BCC in some capacity. And, so not announcing what type of match it was until a week before, it doesn't seem like an issue to me. But, there are other matches where it's like, okay, you could have announced this earlier. Or even like with the Jamie Hayter Tony Storm match, you could have announced which member of the Outsiders or the Outcasts, whatever the fuck they are, whichever one of them was facing Jamie at the pay-per-view. You could have announced that a couple of weeks ago. Although I do understand them, building Tony in that way with that little like historical mini run that they did. But think about like how almost last minute that sounds that Tony had to do that. Was it 4 wins in 5 days or something? Like that just sounds so ludicrous that it took them those last 5 days to get Tony Storm a reason to get this title shot. So there's a little give and take with Tony Khan when it comes to this type of stuff. And it's always interesting to see how he's going to play things, especially considering how he has that huge chart that they showed on All Access. And he's got shit booked out seemingly weeks, if not months in advance for all of his shows, and somehow he sometimes misses things, and sometimes they're small things which that just happen to fall through the crack, but on occasion they are bigger things, and then you're just left sitting there like, how the fuck did you miss that, dude?
I read something on Reddit the other day. WWE has mastered the art of the trailer, and AEW has mastered the art of the movie. And I think that's really fair. Like, WWE has mastered the promo package, the build to a show, and then sometimes they just don't deliver at the actual pay-per-view. Yeah. While AEW does not know how to build towards a pay-per-view a lot of the time, and then we get surprised with not surprised, but it's a treat that the show is better than the build that we got for it.
You can always kind of rely on the pay-per-view being good.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree.
It's debatable, I guess, on some of the later AEW pay-per-views, but that's a whole other argument. But yeah, I agree with that.
Even the bad ones are good though.
Even today's video package, I know it's like nitpicking, but I'm just like, I don't know, like WWE just does it in a way better way. Like some things you should just straight up copy off of, in a sense.
Because it's just what should be the standard at this point, Yeah, WWE is doing it, but it should be something everybody's doing.
What's crazy is that WWE does promo packages and makes you think that the story was a lot better than it was.
Yeah, no, it's true.
But it's not. Like, they'll do the dumbest things for weeks, and then they'll put it in a video package and make you think that you missed out on some shit if you didn't watch it.
It's true.
It's true. All I know is I'm still looking forward to Sunday, bad build or not.
Me too.
So I'm hyped for that, and I think we're all hyped for that. And we will be here on Sunday, at least some of us will be, to review Double or Nothing when it goes off the air. So be sure to tune in for that. And the way you can do that is by liking and subscribing. So like and subscribe. We'll have our predictions for Double or Nothing coming out probably tomorrow, if not Friday. So you can check all that out as well. James will be back tomorrow for Gympact of Honor, where he will be reviewing Impact and Ring of Honor, because he can't choose between the two because he loves both of them. And quite frankly, if I grew up with both of them the way he did, I probably couldn't pick between them either. Danny for JL, you can always come in on Mondays when Danny actually decides to for his Raw Fast Forwards. And then we are always here on Wednesdays after Dynamite, so you can come back with us.
Don't forget Saturday we have Night of Champions.
Oh yes, there's another WWE Blood Money. I'm not gonna watch that.
I'm not gonna watch it, but we're getting a new World Heavyweight Champion.
We should be reviewing that. Somebody
with a less moral standing than me will watch it and review it, because I'm not going to, because fuck that shit.
Friday we have an Impact pay-per-view, Saturday a WWE pay-per-view, Sunday an AEW pay-per-view. We're gonna die, but we got this because we love you guys. Yeah, no, this is a great weekend for wrestling. So be sure to, like I said, like and subscribe so you guys can come hang out with us after all of the shows, especially on this glorious long weekend. Be sure to check us out on all of our social media stuff as well. We have Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter. I will be on Twitter for these pay-per-view on Sunday. So if you guys want to live tweet along with me there, come join us. And then Danny's got good memes over on Instagram. So be sure to check out all that stuff in the description below if you're on YouTube. Otherwise, I don't know. Our links are on the page somewhere. You guys can figure it out. But that about wraps things up for us here at the Mark It Down podcast. So for Producer Boy and James Asante, my name is Nick Cummings. Thank you so much for watching us here at the Mark It Down podcast. Producer Boy's eating again, so I guess have a good one, everyone, and enjoy your Memorial Day weekends.